for Rotherham United.
Woods got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Great start. It's been a wonderful start. First, we're 8:05 and things are going badly. We are here to do a full review of the defeat at Stockport, obviously yesterday, and we'll see where we go. Arguments coming in. I can almost promise you arguments as well. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Mick's back with us. Mick, we gave you the day off yesterday.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm very good. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm ill. I'm dying today. Makes it even better. I'll power through. Tom, I spoke to you yesterday. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Same as yesterday. I was going to say you sound a little bit nasally. And I also see you've managed to hook onto the neighbour's Wi-Fi, so that's perfect.
Yeah, there are sound issues today rather than internet issues. And Scott's with us. How are you doing, Scott?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks. Sorry about that. I'm actually thinking, I think last time I were on this show and after the Lincoln match, so I'm not sure if I've missed anything since then.
Yeah, that'll be the same. We'll all be buzzing about the result and everything like it. Just like the Lincoln game, just like it. People are with us. Martin Holland says, "Good evening, everybody." Miller66 says, "Evening, everybody. Much better second half, but still a run defeat goes on. Could have been so much better if Nombe's effort had gone in near the end." That's our look at the moment. Chris plays hi all. 8-game losing streak, 1 win in 12. Change managers, he says, with no joy. Sarah Ogden's with us. John Insel says, "Evening all." Raggett's feet attached to his legs. Paul Chadwick, "Evening." Robbed again by a clear foul on Dawson. This will be the topic of debate for tonight, which is nice for it not to be all negative. Steve's with us. Race Medley is with us. Paula Rose says, "Evening." Stuffed by a dodgy ref. Nice to see Sam back. Cheryl Stone's with us. Neil Jordan. Mark Gamble. Loads of people with us. So thank you all for being with us and being patient with us as well. Scott, I'll start with you, mate, first off. We'll just kind of sum it up, first of all. It was obviously a 3-2 defeat. It's one of those, there's no shame in losing to Stockport. Stockport are probably going to go up this season. I think they're my favourite to go up in second place this season. But when you catch them, I'm sure all Stockport fans will be happy. I agree that they had a big off day. When you catch them like that and don't take advantage, it just sticks in the throat a little bit.
Frustrating, isn't it? It's frustrating, but with the greatest respect, obviously we're not bothered about Stockport, we're bothered about us, and we have a first half pretty much along the same lines of what we've had, but then the second half is a different game altogether.
Yeah.
And it shows that we're capable of doing it, which is what some of us have been saying all season, which again adds to the frustration more than anything else, I suppose. And again with 3 own goals as well, which, you know,
odd.
Well, 2 own goals. Which was the third that they're claiming was an own goal?
There was Raggett off their player's arse and that come off Dawson, the third one.
Right. Okay.
Do you know how own goals work?
I know how own goals work. Yeah. Yeah. I mean that makes the conversation coming up later even better, doesn't it?
I don't know. Scott, what was your take on it? Like I said, a very, in the end, frustrating, but it gave us something to cling on to maybe in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a game of 2 halves, isn't it? I mean, when the team got announced, I was thinking I've made a wrong decision predicting 2-0 to Stockport, because I just thought the problem kind of ever since Nombe has been out of the team is where the goals are coming from. And then again with the 3 at back and Jack Holmes at right, I just thought this is not going to end very well. And I kind of I texted my dad and said, I think we're just hoping somehow we can get through to half time or 70 minutes and get Nombe and Spence on. I mean, I didn't ever imagine they were going to have 45 minutes in them. But I mean, yeah, as soon as they came on, you could just see everything was just totally different, didn't it? Turned on its head. can't remember, somebody had a shot, I think, within like a minute or two of the second half, went out for a corner, and you could see Nombe gesturing to the person, kind of waving his arms, firing him up, saying, come on, come on, come on. And you could just see, it was totally different second half.
Yeah, it were. Let's go back to the kind of start of the game, Tom, or before the start of the game. How does his thoughts on Raggett Kelly still making the lineup? Matt, I'm sure, said he was trying to offload them. And then Mike comes in. Why on earth are we persisting with 3 at the back? How many goals this season? Because there's far too much space on the left-hand side. Their first goal is no point in case in that. We mentioned yesterday on the instant reaction that our group chat was alight at 1:45 with that lineup. And we can talk about the game and we were unlucky about this, that, and the other. But as much as I want to defend Matt, I'm sure, he hasn't helped himself with that starting lineup. He has absolutely not helped himself by chucking, like Scott mentioned, Jack Holmes at right wing back and Sean Raggett at centre half when Zach Jules was on bench and Lenny's on bench. He doesn't help himself with these things. And a better Stockport team on their day would have put that game beyond sight in the first half.
Yeah, we got super lucky with that goal in that first half to make it 1-1, and that gave us a little bit of something, and I think it knocked them a little bit, which, as I said yesterday, I think made the difference of the second half. I think if that goal doesn't go in, which it shouldn't do at all, we go in 1-0 down, maybe even 2-0, deservedly so, and you come out the second half and there won't. You'd argue, it's ifs and buts, but you'd argue that there probably wouldn't be as much fight from the players that were still on that pitch. Maybe Nombe and Spence and James change it a little bit, but to me, not enough. And you're right. Like, bless Jack Holmes. I think he's so super positive whenever he's given a chance, but he's hardly been given a chance, and I think that's indicative of what the managers think of him. And unfortunately, I don't think he's League One standard when he's playing in his preferred position. He's a direct, positive player who can maybe have flashes, but to play him wing back in this system, that's the most important part of the team, and to put him alongside Kelly, to have Hugel up front, to have Sean Raggett at the back. I think I said yesterday, to have that in 2026 is ridiculous, and deservedly so. We looked pathetic that first half, as bad as we have been in these last 7-8 games that we've been losing. Again, Kelly's again a nice, neat player, but legs completely gone and just gets ran over, metaphorically and literally speaking. Raggett was in the team to deal with the height and the physicality, which, again, as we mentioned yesterday, he sort of grew into. But you can't be conceding own goals. I think he's, again, I don't know his exact stats, but I feel like he's played 10 games and conceded 2 own goals and given them given the opposition 2 goals. He's no worse than Tom Holmes, unfortunately, in a lot of aspects. And I think he's someone that we shouldn't be looking at starting. And we paid the price for it by a really poor first half, but we're so lucky that we got in at 1-1 that it sort of didn't matter. But look, if we're starting games like that in this kind of run with those kind of players, again, nothing against those sort of players. They were good in their time. They're just way past it. And as we keep saying, that first goal was indicative of playing this 5 at the back, because the players don't know how to play it. When it works, it's brilliant. When it doesn't work, you're so exposed, it's ridiculous. And we just keep getting exposed, especially out wide.
Yeah, we do. I also don't think it necessarily helps Matt Hamshaw's situation, where he constantly calls out players that he don't want to be here, and then keeps playing the players that we think he's talking about that he doesn't want to be here. It makes his comments even more weird and confusing, that he plays Liam Kelly, playing Sean Raggett, and these players. But anyway, I'm Mick's pulling a face. I'm sure you've got something to say on that before we come to actual.
Right, yeah, I mean, the key word you used in that was, key words that we think we don't know, do we? He might be playing.
He's playing all of them. Who was he not playing?
Well, I'm only saying he didn't play Jack Jules, did he?
Well, he did
to start with. Look, it's all right saying all these things, but we don't know. When we're making that assumption that we're making the assumption that he's told players. I don't know whether he's actually said that or not. I can't remember. But anyway,
giving out half information. Giving out half information is worse than giving out no information. It causes speculation. It causes conversation. But anyway, Scott, kind of amount of time, the ball space we gave them to cross the ball was unbelievable. Martin Miller sums it up really nice. I feel sorry for Jack Holmes. Frankly, he's not a league player, but he doesn't deserve to be thrown under the bus by putting a right wing back. Couldn't agree more. Steve says Raggett, Kelly, Hugel, or Holmes are miles off League One standard. Harry says the back four makes so much sense with no Hall, Martha, but because Coletta, Holmes are better attacking players than they are defending players. Alex James says we need to take into consideration. Yes, Hammy is the manager, but there are 3 other members of the staff, coaching staff. Clearly agreeing 3-5-2 the way to go. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Just, yeah, that's a good way of putting it, I think. The first goal, Mick, you're not Sean Raggett's biggest fan. I'm aware of that.
No.
But again, it's one of those things that it shouldn't even got to that situation. It's so easy down our left-hand side. Again, it's not just Joe Powell's fault, the left-hand side issue. And Sean Raggett, as he does, gets his feet in a muddle and buries it quite nicely.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. I just feel sorry for him. A player of his experience and who can gain a place in a League One football team, not only ours but others as well, should not be flashing at a ball coming across the box like that. He shouldn't be, but he was unlucky that it went in. Obviously, it could have gone anywhere, and arguably should have gone anywhere. Arctic ground being one of them, one of those places. But yeah, does anybody else do that? Probably not. No, probably not. Virtually everybody else we've got who's capable of playing in that position puts the foot through it and makes proper contact with the ball. And like you say, he just struggles. He's struggling. He's just struggling, and I don't understand why he played. I can't get my head around that. Zach Jules is just as good in the air as Raggett is, and offers so much more. So it was a bizarre decision for me to start him. A bizarre decision to start Kelly, although I can kind of understand that because we're so light in midfield at the moment with players. But nah, it's just he can't play. He can't keep starting him. He can't. He does it. He shows it time and time again, doesn't he? He shows it even when he's under no pressure whatsoever. I keep saying this, but he's under no pressure whatsoever, passing the ball across the back. He's still got to stop the ball, control the ball, look where the ball is, and then kick it. It's just, he's not good enough. I'm sorry, Sean. He's just gone. Legs have gone. Eyes have gone. Head's gone. Everything's gone. It's gone. Sean, it's gone. Pack it in, mate.
I think the thing is as well, it comes on his left-hand side. I think, honestly, if it goes to his right, if it comes in from the opposite way and it's with his right foot, he probably makes a better go of it. But it's just because he's, like you say, he's with his feet, he's not the best at all by any means. But it's also, it's on his, he did another one 10, 15 minutes after it where he got his, left foot in a twist. And again, it's this formation because he's playing in the centre. He has to be equally adept at doing both sides, and he struggles to do one side. Yeah, well, yeah, so yeah, either side. Sorry, grammar. He struggles to do one side, so like he's going to struggle to do both, either side. Sorry, when he's, trying to clear a ball, and that was so obvious. And it's not the first time. It was against Wigan where he did it as well, where he just couldn't get. I think that was a bit more unlucky, but. Yeah, I'm with Mick.
Yeah. John's back with us. John Morell's with us. Evening all. Hope it is well. Long time no speak. John. Chris Page says, Matt Armshaw breaking records, wrong ones. Who can do better? The shoot managerial merry-go-round goes around. And when the goal goes in, Scott, it just felt like, here we go again. There was barely a reaction. I was certainly from myself, and I expect most Rotherham fans in the stadium were kind of going, well, this is going the way we expected it to, because it was an average start at best. I think 10 minutes were level, and then from 10 to when we got our goal, it was all Stockport counter without hurting us. But it felt like it was inevitable that we were going to lose. I know we did, but certainly when the goal went, I thought it was inevitable. It was going one way that game.
Yeah, they would. As soon as the goal went in, you kind of just looking around at some of the players, and they'd kind of totally gone, hadn't they? Their heads were down. and you could just tell it with a feeling of, here we go again. We're likely to get, how many minutes is on clock? How long have we got to get to half time to kind of limit this? And yeah, I agree. I think we had started all right, and then a lot of passes started going astray. They were just, I couldn't work out. I know what the formation supposedly was meant to be, but every time I looked, it just, we were kind of playing a flat back five.
Yeah.
Gray seemed to be kind of more on the right. Hugo were on the top. We were just hitting the ball nowhere near Hugo. McWilliams were just kind of floating around. And then, because that first goal, I watched it so many times trying to work out how this overload came. And I think it is that. I think Yearwood and Kelly are in the middle. There's kind of three players around them because McWilliams is a bit further up. Coletta's flat alongside who's the left, Baptiste, and then the fullback comes up, and there were kind of no structure. I know what the formation's meant to look like, but it just never in the first half looked. I'd love to see the heat map of the average positions, because it was pretty much a 5. I don't even know, 5-2-1-1 or something like that. It would just, it was bizarre, and I'm not really sure. We should have got. For me, we should have gone to forward back straight from the off. Like Tom's alluded to, I think in a 3-5-2, your wing backs are the most important players, because they you kind of get out ball. They should be doing everything, and they're essentially just playing right back and left back. And then we had Yearwood and Kelly. Yearwood, we'll go on to that, but I think he played well. But there was just no out ball. It was just literally kicking it back up to them, and it was just coming back every time.
Yeah, absolutely were. It absolutely was. We're constantly getting pinned back in the five back, especially when we've got no Denzel Hall. You just get pinned back constantly. And we'll talk about our goal in a minute, Tom. But this is the biggest concern. Well, two concerns. There's the Sam Nombe issue, which we'll come on to in a minute. The fact is, we're such a one-man team, but it's also the fact that we're so predictable. It was really obvious that they were going to get a goal. We all knew they were going to get that goal because of the pressure they were putting us under. And we all thought that it was going to be a relatively comfortable afternoon for Stockport. It was so easy for Stockport. We weren't difficult to play against. They pinned us back, as Scott just mentioned, into a flat back 5. It was just so easy for them. And we got lucky that we made it a competitive game because of the goal we're going to come on to. But I suspect when we play in these next 3 or 4 games, that if we allow teams to do the same thing to us, we're not going to get lucky again with a goal just before half-time. And this is an issue. This is why we've lost 8 on the bounce. This is exactly why we've lost 8 on the bounce. Because we ain't got a clue how to change things up and make it more adaptable and try and change the way of where the game is going. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's what's happened in the last 8 games or whatever it is. Maybe apart from that Blackpool first game, that's what's happened. We set up to defend, and we set up for Sam Nombe to come on at half time, and then we start and giving it a go. But how many times have you given a game a go at half time when that first half you've not been in it, and you go 1 down? Stockport should have been 2-0 up, I reckon, at half time. I don't think that would have flattered them, and when we should have been out of the game. And as I said before, that lucky goal actually gave us something. But you get a goal like that once every 100 years. You don't get it once every game. So we're going to struggle massively if we don't start adapting to, playing better. And look, that second, again, we'll go on to it, I'm sure, but that second goal we scored was one of the best goals that I've seen us score this season. And we keep scoring goals that, you look at and you're like, wow, that's a proper team goal, from back to front with pace, energy, and enthusiasm, and then a goal scorer at the end to finish it off. And that's what we need to do. But having said that, we still conceded 3 goals in the game. We still, Nombe hit both posts, which was unlucky. But again, you're not scoring unless Sam Nombe is on the pitch. So as we keep alluding to, we're so one-dimensional, and so you know how to play against us. We're going to try and play wide and try and get balls into the box, but without wing backs, who actually are adept at doing it. We had, again, Coletta went down with cramp, and we had to take him off. He was never going to play a full hour, but because of the lack of injuries, you're playing Jamal Baptiste at right wing back, where I think he is a very, very good player. as a centre half, and he can get on the ball, but he's not going to put in a wicked delivery that's going to, trouble the back line. And yeah, we don't seem to know how to keep the ball once we get it. And someone just alluded to that possession were 43% average. Passing accuracy at half time was 48%, which, and I'm not for stats and I hate looking at stats, but that caught my eye because 1 in every 2 passes, every other pass is going to their player or out of play, which is ridiculous. You could close your eyes and pass the ball and get the same amount of statistics. It's so poor and so, I don't understand what the game plan is. Obviously, the game plan is to try and attack with pace and power and get it wide and into the box and, get your strikers on the end of it. And Nombe gives that out ball when you're trying to, when you're under a bit of pressure. But as I say, without Nombe on the pitch, you don't have a plan. You don't have a tactic. You don't have an idea of how to play. And you're so easy to play against as a result. And you're not very good. You're so easy to play against going forward offensively and defensively. It's so tough to watch us at times. And that first half was one of the worst I've seen for a while, including this, winless run.
Yeah, it was. It was extremely one-sided until Nick. You've watched football a lot longer than me, but when I was younger, and everybody of my age will have watched the Danny Baker's own goals and gaffs videos. That would have been like, you'd save that till the end of the video. That'd be your one. You'd finish on that own goal. An experienced goalkeeper's made an absolute blunder, and that poor defender, he's just stood there. What can he do? He's just stood there, trying to get out away, and 1-1. It's just brilliant.
I think it's genuinely the only piece of luck we've had this season that isn't bad luck. It's the only piece of any sort of luck that isn't bad. It's dreadful from goalie. Dreadful. Yeah. The defender's got absolutely no chance. Absolutely. He's done everything he could possibly can, and goalkeeper still booted it straight at his backside. But then he's still got to go over at keeper and into net, and we still managed it. I think, and I don't think anybody at all who supports this football club, whether they are happy clappers or moaning gits, whichever camp you land in, you cannot begrudge us a little bit of good luck this season. You can't. So,
But that was all I look in one goal, though, wasn't it? That was so lucky.
Well, I mean, we'd already lost some of it before it even happened, hadn't we, with own goal? So it's just it was a remarkable sequence of events. But yeah, I mean, does Drew Ewell get an assist? I'm only asking for a friend.
For an awful cross. The awful cross, does it
well, if you've got a striker who's going to be in there attacking ball, maybe not so much if he's going to if you're going to, if you've got an attacker who's willing to jump deliberately into a goalkeeper, then maybe we'd have got a goal out of
that. Yeah. Paula Rhodes says they were sat at the other end and had no idea what happened. If you watch it back, so especially the one behind the goal, the delay in the Rotherham fans at the far end is brilliant. It takes like 4 or 5 seconds for the fans to go, oh, we scored. Yeah. Brilliant. Right in the middle, as we said in the instant reaction, ironically, if that's a forward blocking the kick, it gets disallowed.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely true. Just brilliant. Just one of those things that we love to see. Even if it happened to us, if it happened to us and we won 3-2, we'd be laughing about it for a week, wouldn't we? It was great. And the weird thing about it, Scott, is it shouldn't have made any difference to the game, but that rattled Stockport. For about 10 minutes, 5 minutes to half time, and the 5 minutes after, they were completely rattled. And we stepped it up a little. Hugo nearly scored just for half time as well. It really did give us a bit of impetus out of absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it did. Like you said, that it all came when the keeper had in his hands. It was from the Yearwood's poor cross, and then Yearwood who crossed it in for Hugo. I think it was. Yeah. Kind of had another attempt, and I'm not sure how close that was. It looked pretty close. It was a good header from Hugo because I could see him off camera, kind of get back on side and put gesture to where he wanted it, and it was a good cross. And it kind of just flipped, didn't it, all on that one bit for the last 5 minutes. And then obviously with this introduction of the subs at half time, you're thinking, here we're going. But as I'm sure the kind of big part of tonight's show, I got quashed in it.
Indeed. Vernon Jones says the best statistic I saw was no shots on goal and the score was 1-1 at half time. I love that. Love those kind of stats. Yeah. Neil asks, was it as good as Rob Scott's own goal?
I can't remember it.
You can't remember Rob Scott's own goal, pinging it in top corner from 18 yards?
Oh.
Is that where we just
curled it in?
There was no look about that, though, was it? It was just
still funny, though.
Yeah. I do remember that, yeah.
For anybody that doesn't know, that was a 120th minute Rob Scott own goal to make it 4-4 in the League Cup to take it to penalties in 2002-3, something like that. Back when football was fun. Paulo says stop football booed off at half time. It's just mad. Complete madness. Oh, they weren't winning, but Jesus, come on. Yeah, and then half time comes, and I'm going to use Bailey's comment here that says Nombe's future is going to be deciding what of our fate this year. This year's the most one-man team I've seen from us a while. I think corrects himself. He says forgot that Johansson when we went down. There's good and bad things about the Sam Nombe conversation, so Tom, and let's start with the bad because we won't try and put a positive spin on things where we possibly can. We are ridiculously reliant on Sam Nombe. I mean, you very stats out yesterday, instant reaction, basically a goal a game, just over that in terms of Matt Hamshaw's overall reign, because he got one every 2 games in the 8 games he played for him last year. It's scary how much we rely on him. He's a brilliant player, but you shouldn't be relying on anybody that much.
He is so good. He is so good as a footballer. He's positive. He's as physical as I've seen a striker we've had. He's quick. He's direct. He's in the right places at the right time. He should have scored that second effort that went in off, but that didn't go in off either post somehow. But you're right. He is the only way that we score, and that's not an exaggeration. That is unfortunately fact. And that unbeaten run that we had when he wasn't playing, we defended so well that we didn't really need him, and we sort of nicked the odd goal here and there. Spence's goal against Barnsley and Wickham and various other games where it was 0-0 or 1-1. Benson picking up goals here and there, but what he gives you in terms of goals, as I said, he's got a goal a game on minutes played basically. But his ability out, to get out off the up the pitch is something that nobody else offers you in this squad, in this league, whatever. Because if you put a ball in behind their defense, not only is he not making the ball, but he's somehow he manages to make it. And then once he's there, he's got the physical prowess to actually muscle defenders off the ball. He gets you up the pitch. He does what Ogbeni used to do for us. He does what Smudge used to do for us. But honestly, better than either of them two, in my opinion. He is such a handful, and if we keep him fit, we'll stay up. I think it's as easy as that, and that is how reliant we are on Sam Nombe. Because if we get a bid in Jan and he goes, or if he gets injured for he can miss the odd game here and there, obviously. But if he's out for 3-4 games again, then you don't know where our goals come from. You don't know where our outlet comes from. You don't know where the positive drive and the energy comes from, because it doesn't feel like Nombe in and of himself as a player is good, one of the best strikers in the league. But for some reason, everyone else when he plays just seems to be better. It's like they know that they can win now. It's like they know that their star player's back and they know that they can get a result. And that's what he does so well. He lifts the morale of, anytime he's even warming up, you can hear the fans chanting the Zombie song, which is just like, it's mental how much we rely on him. And when he goes, because he's not signing a new contract, so when he goes in the summer, it will be a big, big miss. And there's some big, big shoes to fill, because look, it didn't work for him in the Championship with us, but I'm sure for someone else it might do, because he's got he's got the know-how now, I think, to play there, and I hope he does. I hope he does really well in his career, because he deserves really good things.
Yeah, he does. Harry says since the 8th of November we've played 10 league games, scored 6 goals. Scored 6 goals. Nombe has 3 of them. One of the other 3 was an own goal, and Nombe also has played 113 minutes out of 900 played. That shows we are a one-man team. Yeah, it's pretty scary how reliant we are on Nombe. We'll come back to that, shall we? But first of all, thank you everybody for with us. We're halfway through the show. We'd like to have a stop and thank you all for being with us. Make sure you've given the video a thumbs up if you haven't done so already, if you're watching over on YouTube. And if you haven't done so, subscribe. Me and Tom did an instant reaction yesterday, which was a live one. We did a live one, which was unusual. I enjoyed it. And I think it went okay. All the comments seem to be pretty positive. So thank you all for being that one. So go check that out if you haven't done so already. And yeah, thank you. Right, now comes the moment, the controversial moment of the game, the talking point, really. Mick, you are of the opinion. Well, give everybody your opinion on the Stockport's second goal.
It's not an opinion. I've seen it.
These
things here that I've got on my face that my ears are holding up assist the things behind them called my eyes to see things clearly. Anybody who says that that's not a foul is wrong, and I'm not giving that as an opinion. I'm stating that as a fact, as 100% fact. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you watch the tweet that the IUFC's put out, and this is not a criticism of the referee in any way before anybody starts moaning about that. This is not. If you watch the tweet that the IUFC's put out from the angle from behind the goal, the Stockport player looks at the goalkeeper. He jumps. At this point, the ball's nowhere in sight. No, he's not going for the ball. He's making no attempt whatsoever to play the ball. He then drops his full body weight with his arm in Dawson's chest. At this point, the ball's still not in view. You can't see the ball. So he's not going for the ball. He's not playing the ball. He's playing the man. It's that simple. Watch it. Use your looking eyes and watch it, and you'll see it. And honestly, listen, I'm all for criticising Dawson. At times he's weak. At times his decision-making is appalling. Everything else. But I'm sorry. I can't believe that there's even a discussion about this. I've watched it and I've watched it over and again. And the more I watch it, the worse it becomes. It's bizarre. Genuinely, it's bizarre that anybody don't think that's a goal. A free kick. Okay. Especially given out what pathetic reasons they're given for usually. Absolutely nailed on. Nailed on.
So, Andrew Barlow says it's a foul. He thinks we all know if you're foul keeper, it's a foul. Rob Dixon says not a foul, but it's pointless arguing with Mick. He's never wrong. Move on.
Rob, I am wrong regularly. Regularly wrong.
Harry says foul if you're being consistent with everything that's been given the last 5 years, but Dawson should be stronger. Mike the Miller says Mick's view was as predictable as the night following the day. I've seen the video he's talking about, and nope, it's never a foul.
In what way? So, look, listen, in all seriousness, and let's put this in the comments. Does the Stockport player make any attempt to play the ball?
He almost gets it. He almost gets the ball.
He's almost on floor by the time ball passes over his head.
Anyway, so
no, just bear with me. Does he make any attempt to play the ball? Does he push Dawson?
He puts his hands on him.
Right. It puts his hand on him, but he's got his full body weight behind that because he's in air.
He hasn't, has he? He can't have his full body weight because he's in the air.
Exactly. There's this thing called gravity. I don't know whether you're aware of it.
Yeah, okay.
But you know, puts his hand on him. He has to come down.
He puts his hand on him. That doesn't mean he's pushed him with his entire body weight. He's leaned on him a bit.
Nah, you're wrong. In my,
they're always giving us fouls. They are, and it's more of a surprise it wasn't given as a foul, not because it was or wasn't. It's more of a surprise it wasn't given as a foul because referees usually save their own backs and then try and, you know, benefit the doubt for the keeper. But I'm against you, Mick. He's got to be so much stronger. You've looked at it in slow motion where he's looked at him, you know, for 5 seconds. You know, the video's 20 seconds long, and for 5 seconds he's looked at him. He's jumped up for 5 seconds and he's come back down for 5 seconds. If you watch it in real time, he's actually not. He's just put his hand on him. He's got to be so much stronger. I couldn't. It's not a foul. They're always given. So I'm in the camp of that is a foul because they're always given. But if that was happening the other way around, which it did against, you know, like we've had it happen against us, if that was in the other box, and you know, Sam Nombe's jumped up with the keeper and done exactly the same thing, you'd be having the exact same go saying it's not a foul, and that's a fact. Also, what doesn't help is Nombe is behind Dawson and goes into him with his shoulder and actually makes him kind of fall back. You know, he's getting pushed from both sides. If you want to watch it in super, super slow-mo, Nombe doesn't help the situation because he's in the back of Dawson as well. So, again, your keeper has to be stronger because you can't get a foul off your own player.
I don't think it's a massive talking point. I think it's one of those that is given or it's not. If that was given, it'd be given and it's a foul. If it's not given, I can completely understand why the referee's not giving that. If you watch it in real time from roughly the referee's viewpoint, it looks like Dawson's tried to win the foul. It looks like he's gone up, felt a bit of contact and throw himself to the ground. Now, we know from slow motion replays that there's a bit more contact than that. But I can completely understand from the referee's perspective why he thinks that it's not a foul. Also, Dawson's got history for being weak as whatever you want it to be as well. So if you've ever seen Cam Dawson play, well, it's just Cam Dawson being weak again. I don't think it's a big deal either way. I can see both sides, but I don't think it's anything to chuck Teddy's out at cot about to steal Dave Lawton's comment in the comment there. Scott, what's your view on things? Is it a shocker? Is it right? Is it somewhere in the? Does it matter?
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm sitting on fence, but if you'd have asked me yesterday, I obviously watched yours and Tom's post-match. I mean, when you're watching it live, straight away I thought that's a foul. I just expected the whistle to go because in this day and age, anybody close to a ref, it's a foul. It looked in live like it were a foul. Then from the replays, I was feeling I don't actually think it is a foul. I think Dawson's got to be a lot stronger there. And, you know, he's got the benefit of jumping. He's taller than him. He can jump with his knee up. You know, he can. Yeah. He should be claiming that or punching it. Then, knowing how we're coming on here today, I've watched it again today. And very sadly, I've watched it in like really slow motion and paused it. And then I can see what Mick's saying because at one stage, the ball is not in shot and the player's looking straight at Dawson. And then the player's jump. Dawson's not got off the floor yet, so that is a criticism, really. He should be off the floor already. The player's in the air, put his arm on Dawson as Dawson's attempted to get up. There's some contact on Dawson. I don't think it's much, but watching it in slow motion, I'm really surprised it weren't given. But I suppose football's referees aren't doing it in slow motion. So at the time watching it live, I thought it was a foul. Watching the replays, I was like, I think Dawson's got to be a lot stronger. Having now watched the slow mo, I think it was a foul. So I think it's just one of them. I think what I do think is if that were at the other end, that's 100% a foul. There's no way we're getting that goal. And I can't remember what game it was at New York where we got a goal disallowed for a foul on the keeper, and it weren't even. It was the defender on the keeper. Is that Huddersfield? Yeah. So it weren't even our player that touched him. So yeah, I think it's just. I think they got very fortunate to get it because I think, you know, if you watch that 100 times, I think high 90s they're getting disallowed. But like you said, that's just how I look this season, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a contact sport, though, isn't it? You've got to expect contact. Yeah, well, it is. And how many times have you, Mick, said about players just because it's contact don't mean you can go down and things like that? We've said this loads with penalty incidents and things like that. You've got to be stronger. You've just got to be stronger. If the referee gives it, I think the attacker can't really complain because he has touched him.
He
But
can't
it's just-
complain because he never went football. He made no attempt to play the ball.
Okay.
Just look at the flight of the ball.
Neither did Dawson, though.
Neither did Dawson, though. No, exactly.
Immediately hit the
He
deck.
can't, could he? How could he?
But he flapped at it. He had the opportunity to catch it, and instead he flapped at it because
He's trying to fight with a man that's half his size. In fact,
I mean, yeah, whatever. I don't agree. I absolutely don't agree. Yeah, but what's happening here? It's a bit of 1984 going on here, and you've been captured by the miserable moaning gits. They're telling you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears.
Yeah, I'm with
That's what
Mike.
they're doing.
I think that there's probably not enough to give a foul, but Dawson has to do better. But I agree with Russ. I think if VAR is involved, I think this VAR disallows it, and that's why VAR is the devil.
Did you watch Man U game?
Yeah.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, I also don't think watching things in slow motion helps either.
I don't.
But yeah, it is what it is. We'd have probably lost the game anyway because of how the game would have gone. But it was not disallowed, so we can move on.
Yeah,
just finally
scored 2 minutes later or whatever.
Can't we argue about it a bit more?
We can if you want. Yeah. First finish on Matt Miller's comment from earlier. I said he says all those feeling robbed at the disputed stock put. Second goal shouldn't be. It was never a foul. Dawson went well over 6 foot. Never got off the ground. Not for the first time either. No, he's got history for it, hasn't he? We just never got to. Right. Moving back on to the positive side of things. Tom, Sam Nombe gets his obligatory goal. A really good goal. We mentioned you kind of referred to it earlier, but it's a really, really good goal. Marvin Coletta deserves probably the most amount of credit out of anybody for me. Just that's the first time he's properly impacted a game towards a goal. He's had runs in the past, hasn't he? That was the first time he impacted a game and created a goal, and it shows what a talented kid he is. And created. We slayed McWilliams all day on Thursday. We've got to give him credit for it because it's a wonderful cross from him as well.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. As you say, you got to. Coletta's on that. Coletta does it quite often where he hits it on the half turn and he runs in field. And quite often he runs into traffic, but this time there was no one there because Ollie Norwood's trying to maintain pace with him, and he just absolutely burnt him. And like he has to get into that opportunity, and he's got the pace and power to do so. If he stays fit again, he's another real asset to the team because defensively he's solid, but his pace, power, direct ability to, physicality is really good. Again, it reminds me of sort of Ogbeni standard, not standard, Ogbeni kind of, physique and power and pace. But you're right, he has to get the decision making was spot on out wide to McWilliams, and then again a fantastic ball across to Nombe, who again puts his body on the line because I don't know if you see it afterwards, but he does a front flip over the keeper afterwards. Which, look, if that goes wide, I don't think the keeper gives a penalty for that one. It's 100% is. He's absolutely wiped out Nombe in the process. But look, that's what your strikers are there for. But this was a goal that wasn't Nombe infused, so to say. It was purely down to Coletta and McWilliams, which is, where has this been? Where's this spark been? Where's this creativity been? Where's the ability to turn and run at defenders? Where was the composure to do it? Where was the positivity to do it? It's just, I don't know. It's these players are so frustrating to watch because they have that kind of ability, but never show it in these last 8-9. Haven't shown it in these last 8-9 games, which is just so poor. But yeah, it was such a good goal. Reminded me very much of the goal against Reading, which is just, it's a really neat move down the right hand side and then a good ball into the box and a good finish. It's just we're great. We're great at scoring good goals, like well crafted goals, so to say. We're just crap at conceding and gifting people goals. The first goal is arguably the second goal, maybe the third goal if people want to go on to that as well. We're just too sloppy at the back, and when we were good in that 9-game run is because we were defending really well, not conceding many goals, not making many silly decisions or defensive mistakes, and it costs you now. We can't seem to not concede. So you score 2 away at Stockport and you expect a result, or expect a point or 3, and we didn't get it, which is again indicative of this season.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, Mick. And like I say, it feeds into this Nombe narrative. You know, if somebody else puts the ball back in, even if Nombe assists, you can say, well, Nombe's not scored. Somebody else is chipping in with the goals there. This is really good. But it just feeds into the narrative that's already the season, basically, so far, that Nombe is so much to this football team. And well, if we do end up going down, which is obviously a possibility we'll come on to, it'll be because we are too reliant on one man. Well, one of the reasons is that, anyway.
I would tend to disagree with that. And yeah, listen, he's vitally important to us, you know, and having somebody up front, a la not Jordan Hugill, who can score goals, is hugely important. But the point that's been made a couple of times here, the goals that we have scored, I'm not sure who mentions it in the comments there, really well crafted goals. We can do it, and they're not created by the likes of Sam Nombe or anybody else who plays up front. They're created by that midfield, and we are very good. We can be very, very good at playing that ball from back to front with pace and creating opportunities. But the number of times that we do it are so few. So of course, Sam Nombe is important. Of course, he is. You know, he's a natural goal scorer. He's got pace. Everything that we've talked about. But I don't think he's a one-man team. I don't think we're a one-man team. I think the issue is that we just are not a consistent team in any way. Zero consistency. You know, we do create and score some very, very good goals. However, they're few and far between.
Yeah.
So it's about being consistent more than anything else, keeping the ball, having some movement off the ball, having a consistent team, having players who play together week in, week out, not a different team every single game. You know, it's it's more about the situation that we're in rather than in terms of injuries and quality of players, quality of replacements, as much as not having Sam Nombe up front.
Okay, fair enough. Mike says we are consistent losers.
Yeah.
8 in a row. Yeah, it's not pretty. What's your take on the one-man team thing, Scott? Because in fairness, when Keane Spence came on, I thought Keane Spence was excellent. He really, really impacted the game. And without Keane Spence, maybe everything else wouldn't happen as well because of Sam Nombe. And Reece James definitely helped on the left-hand side as well. So there are other factors, but you'll just feel the lift. And we played differently. We know when Nombe came on, how many times did ball get chucked into the channel, which we didn't do in the first half. So it's not necessarily his goals; it's the way he can stretch teams as well that makes him so important to us. Again, which means we're so reliant on him because nobody else can play that way.
Yeah, I think I would go as far as saying we are a one-man team. I think if Nombe is out for the season and the points that we're behind already, I just can't see how we make. I don't see where the goals are coming from, because we don't. Nombe's been out a lot this season, but we don't seem to have tried to come up with a way to combat that. You know, Hugill's not going to run around much. We've not tried to go to right. We're going to just constantly get crosses in. Then to play that we kind of carried on playing how we play when Nombe is there, but Nombe is not there, and I think that's it. I think, when there's no ball on, you can just ping it into that channel, put it behind the fullback, and Nombe will either get it or he'll chase them down and get a throw in, and we can just squeeze up 60 yards straight off that. Yeah. When, like, for the first half, when he weren't on the pitch, we're just hitting it back. It's just a training game, attack against defence. We just hit it, there's nothing there, it comes straight back. That's what we used to have with Chio, and Smith were good at it, and Revel and things like this. It's just not only clearly his goal scoring's become what it has this season, because I don't think he's ever been as prolific as this for us in past seasons. Obviously he has, but I think the work rate that he gives has always been there. And I just think I think if you see Nombe on the team sheet before the game, I think everybody just suddenly thinks we've got a chance here. Yeah. Like I said before the game, I had predicted us to lose 2-0, and I'm thinking that I've gone under here. I think this could be 3 or 4, if not 5. I think if Nombe is on that, the exact same team, but you take Hugill out and put Nombe in, maybe I still think we're going to lose, but I actually think we've got a fighting chance of getting something.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. One-man team. That's why I'm with you as well. I think, yeah. Matt Mills says, how long will it take before Nombe can start rather than 45 minutes? Has everybody faith in backup, i.e. fitness and medical teams? The answer to that question is we don't know and no. To your question there, Mike. But yeah, but there's always a sting in the tail, Tom, when it comes to Rotherham United at the minute. And this is another reasonably well-worked goal. I would argue it's not as well worked as our goal, but it's still a better work goal than their first two. But again, it's just too easy. We mentioned yesterday, Norwood, he miscontrols the ball, but still managed to ping it into the striker. Too easy, the guy that runs off, and we can question Cam Dawson again for his decision to kind of rush out. There's once again, and it's also down the left-hand side again, if you want to talk about it. This left-hand side is still an issue, but it just again feels highly avoidable in 3 or 4 different areas.
Yeah, I think it's a nice goal from Stockport, inevitably. They're only one of the afternoon, obviously. But the issue starts with giving Ollie Norwood the space and time that he had in the middle, 10, 15 yards outside of our penalty spot, because, I'm no football expert. I'm not an analysis. I don't watch, every single game, every single time, but I know that Ollie Norwood can pick out passes that most players in the league can't pick out. So giving him that much time is criminal. And as you say, he miscontrols it. There was a chance to actually tackle him because he miscontrols it. There was too much space in between. It was a well worked goal and also not very well defended. But I don't think it was, saying that Dawson should have stayed on his line. Yeah, maybe he should have. He was kind of caught in that no man's land between not coming out quick enough and staying on his line might have narrowed the angle. But it's all if, buts, and maybes, because maybe he does stay on his line, but then the player pulls it back to someone else who fires it in. There's so many ifs and buts about if he stays on his line. But it's the build up that's the issue in it. Jules not strong enough with the one-on-one with the defender, with the attacker with his back to goal. The player running off Yearwood, I believe. I can't really remember. Again, though, it's nice. It's a nice run off the attacker. It's a nice layoff. Norwood does well to find him in the first place, and then it's a good chip over Dawson, and he just bundled it in off of Braggett's arse. So, look, you can't that was a goal that I had personally no issues with. Obviously, you have issues with it because you don't want to concede, and it should have been defended a lot better. But Stockport, that was the one time that they kind of tore us apart, crafted us apart. But as I say, the issue is giving Ollie Norwood that much time and space, especially after he miscontrols it. It's not like he picked out an amazing pass from, with less than a second on the ball. He had 4 or 5 seconds and a miscontrol before he picked the player. So, yeah, it's down to us and our naivety again. Yeah,
again, bit of a theme running here, isn't there? Yeah, it's just one of those days and frustrating. But then, Mick, we had that it's not even a chance at the end from Sam Nombe, is it? But he has a shot from distance. I'm sure I, like many Rotherham fans, were off celebrating after it hit the first post. But again, that's the talent that this boy's got. That is keeper didn't expect it. There was no way they just caught the keeper off guard. The fact that he had that shot, and we're talking centimeters here in terms of how close that is to go in and out. It's just such a good effort.
Yeah, we used to always look up on first goal, didn't we? That looks of it. It was just unlucky. It was unlucky. There's not a lot else you can say about it, is there? You've got to take the positives out of the second half. I know we keep saying this, and I know people will criticise us for saying it, but we do show occasionally that we're capable of doing it. They've got to show it more often, i.e. for a full 90 minutes for every single game, as opposed to just the little bits and pieces that we see. It was unlucky, dreadfully unlucky. And it is what it is, isn't it? I've got no else on that, really. It's just disappointing.
It'd have some number up, wouldn't it, if it had got in? Though.
It would, yeah. And they've given you more fuel to your one-man team fire as well, which would happy days.
It would. Dave Lawton says, I don't know who signed Kelly, but I expect him to be Norwood standard. Yeah, not quite, unfortunately.
He probably was at his prime.
Yeah, I assume so. He must have been.
We're past his prime now.
Yeah, he is. He is, bless him. Leaves us 5 points adrift of safety, Scott. The league's still tight, so I think 5 points off safety, like 7 points off like 13th, something ridiculous. But 13th doesn't matter. 13th gets you nothing. At this stage, we are looking for that gap between us and safety, which nobody saw coming. Well, some people did actually, but that's not the point. We'll move on. Where do we go from here? I suppose is the question. Does yesterday change anything in terms of your thoughts towards Matt Hamshaw and our season, or is it unfair to judge our Matt Hamshaw and our season on an away game against Stockport when we were pretty unlucky?
Well, I think given that obviously Hamshaw's still in a job pre-Stockport, I think after the game now, given you got your Spence, James, Nombe, and then according to the report, you've got Powell, Gore, and I can't remember who the other player is. Somebody else, Martha, coming back. I think, to me, I think he's got. Well, some might say he's got the rest of the season, and that's it. But I think we've now got 2 very winnable home games coming up, and then we go away. I can't think who we've got, but we've got to be. I mean, really, we've got to be getting 6 points out of the next 2 games. I think we're getting to a stage where you could maybe score 4 if we don't win one at either of the 2. It's. I think we're potentially gone personally, but then I suppose it's the question of what do you do with Hamshaw, because if you think it's gone, do you stick with him for the longer game? I don't know. I mean, I really want it to work with Hamshaw, and it's probably only been kind of the last 4 weeks or so where I've kind of started to. I wouldn't say I'm 100% Hamshaw out, but I'd be leaning more to Hamshaw out, because I just feel like, yeah, he's not had his squad, and there's no disputing that. But then there's the decisions where he's got a signing of his own on the bench, and he's playing one of Evans' or signings, and yet we don't know if that's the sports science saying they can't play. But you come out of the interview after and you're saying quite clearly alluding to these players. It might not be, but it's quite clear. I think that's what he's doing. And he's an highly respected coach, but you kind of got to go with what you've got. So if you want to play a 3-5-2 and fast wing backs and Sam Nombe up top, that's great. But if you haven't got the players, you've got to come up with something. And what that is, I don't know, because I'm not a UEFA licensed coach. But you've got to. You can't just write off months of a season and say, well, it'll be better when I've got my players back. For me, anyway, I think you've got to at least show something like, well, we've tried to change it. And then if that doesn't work, in the report, it can be, well, we've had to change from a 3-5-2 to a whatever because X, Y, and Z are out. And I don't think you can complain with that. But I think it's the not changing. And I suppose he's going to die on this 3-5-2. And if we get 9 points out of the next 3 games and we're, if this squad now stays fit, we will stay up. I'm pretty confident we will stay up. And we can look back at this and say, yeah, that were just all the injuries and so on. Let's carry on for next season. But it has kind of worried me, the stubbornness not to play with the cards he's got.
Yeah, I agree. Dave Lawton says, in his opinion, if you get rid of Hamshaw, turn Stewart back the next one even less. Chris Page at the moment, we need experience in the dugout, and we don't have that. Mike Mills says, no doubt the next 2 matches are crucial. What's the least we want? 4 out of 6. I can't remember whether we said it on the instant reaction, Tom, or after we finished recording yesterday, but these next 3 games for me are the season. We are 5 points adrift. We've got, Northampton, Exeter, and
Wimbledon next week.
Wimbledon. So Wimbledon at home, Northampton at home on a Tuesday night, and then Exeter away the Saturday after. You are either back in it because you've got 5 or 6 points out of those 2 games, or you're still winless, and then you're probably closer to 10 points adrift going into February. It's make or break for the season, and as such for me, it's make or break for Matt Hamshaw. These 3 games are it for me.
Yeah, and I agree with Scott. I think, look, this stubbornness with the formation, whatever, it could work, but he needs the players there to fill it, and he needs them to be fit, and he needs them to be ready. Say that we have the exact same squad for next week with the additions of Powell, Gore, Martha. You're missing Benson and Hall, and that's it really. Douglas, I know you're missing because he was a good player, but you're not missing him per se. You're missing the Benson and Hall for that system to work. So again, he's not got any excuses. Is he going to keep them fit for the rest of the season? I really don't think so. I just think I just don't trust that they'll keep fit for the rest of the season, because there's no doubt in my mind that if we do keep them fit, we'll make a good stab at staying up and probably stay up, and make a good stab of these next 15, 20 games, whatever they are left. However, I don't think that we're going to keep the players fit. I don't think we're going to keep the key players fit. The Spencers, the Nombes, the Gores, Baptiste, James. I'm not optimistic that happens. So I think you're right. I think if these next 2 games go anyway other than next 3 games, I think if you don't get 6 points from these next 3 games, we're in big trouble, because we are 5 points adrift in January, which is not a good place to be. And it is January, and you can go on a run, but we've not looked. The teams that we're playing on, anyone can beat anyone, but we are potentially. These last 8 games have proven, I think, we're the worst team in the division. These last 8 games have shown, and we don't look like beating anyone. So these next 2 games are huge because he's got his players back. He's at home. We're just going to have to see. I'm with you, though. I think it's make or break for him and the season. I think it has to be.
I assume you're not on that camp, Mick.
Probably. I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think they are very, very important games. These next 2, particularly these next 2 home games, are vital. And hopefully we are going to start getting players back at the right time. So, it's important. It's really, really important. Let's not get into the what's going to happen to the manager conversation again, because we just don't know, do we? We can. I'm sure we'll cover that again and again and again at some point this season. But one thing you can guarantee, you can 100% guarantee that if Matt Hamshaw is sacked, it'll be another absolute debacle following it. So at least it'll give us something to talk about.
Well, Scott Kent says anybody other than Hamshaw would have been sacked by now. Well, in normal circumstances, probably. But when the only decision maker is off on a cruise during the worst run of the season, I don't think he would have done. Whoever it was, if Tony's not here to make a decision, there would be no decision made.
He also admitted it.
To be fair, given his recent... Sorry, Tom. Sorry.
No, I was going to say Hamshaw admitted it in his post match. So, there's that as well. Sorry, Mick. Go on.
No, it's all right. I was going to say, to be fair, given Tony Stewart's recent decision making, whatever decision it were, it had been a wrong one, wouldn't it? So,
well, yeah,
Yeah,
we're deciding which buffet to go for. Does he go for the pizza one, all Italian seafood?
Yeah,
these are big decisions on a cruise ship, really big decisions. So literally probably had a lot on his plate. Well, there we go. Well, we're back on Thursday. I'm sure we'll talk about this. Hopefully, we'll have some injury news updates. I think we've flogged this horse for as much as we possibly can. I have 2 headlines for you to pick from today. We have Brendan Thaker, who says Miller's edged out in a 5-goal comedy at Edgeley Park. And Richard Connor goes for Neely got a great bum deal.
I like that first one.
Yeah,
that's great.
Hey, you outwardly laughed. That was a full hearty laugh.
Well done, Brendan. You are the winner of the headline competition this week. Anything else, fellas?
Not from me.
Excellent.
I thought one thing very quickly. I've not seen much of it. I've seen a bit of the highlights. Young Harry Gray he wasn't in the game very much, but the bits I have seen of him, he was having a bit of a scrap with some of their defenders. So that's tick number one in the box there, because he's a young kid and he's happy to get to mix it with some of these hairy-assed centre halves. So that's tick number one in it. He's not shying away. So let's see how that one pans out.
To steal Kevin Andrews' swear episode comments, he looks a bit of a bastard. He looks like he's got the edge to him.
Yeah,
he's only 17, but he's not. He didn't look scared to get his elbow stuck in there and to barge people out of the way a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I'm.
And to be fair,
it's from Leeds, isn't it? What do you expect?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's just like going at bar, isn't it? But the thing is that is usually the one point of a player of that age that they're not on the ball with. They're usually a bit timid and a bit. So if he's got the talent that everybody says he's got, and he's happy to get his elbows out as well, should be all right.
I think Sheriff was a good example of that. Sheriff were a bit nice, wasn't he? Yes,
he was. Yeah, he were a bit. He were a bit overwhelmed by it, or weren't he? A bit overawed by it. So.
Gray was rugby tackled after winning possession before Nombe got the clear booking missed by the referee. Yeah, it was.
And he did it, and then the same player did it 5 minutes later to Nombe. 2 yellows. Whatever.
Anyway,
the ref was appalling.
He was
so bad. Surprised.
Mark Gamble's desperate for a swearing episode, by the way. They also asked out of curiosity, am I doing the no shave until we win again? No, this is just laziness. I'm bothered. It makes no sense. Right, knocking it on, Ed. We are back on Thursday. I don't think there'll be any news this week. I don't think we need for an emergency podcast this week. But you never know. If there is, we will be back for that as and when it happens. But I don't think that will be the case. So we will be back on Thursday, which will be a preview of the next run of games. There's 3 games in a week after that. So Thursday is the preview of a potentially season-defining run of fixtures. And because of that, if you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed so you can join us again for that and for the next episode. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, because that tells other people that you've liked it, and that will spread the word, kind of thing. I need to go to bed. If you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, make sure you've subscribed, 5-star rating, whatever it allows you to do, and follow us on X and Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much, Scott. We will see everyone next time. Thank you for watching, and as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.